Om Namo Swami said, Maharaj Yudhishthira, after hearing Vishnudev speak in that appealing tone, asked him in the presence of all the great rishis about the essential principles of various religious duties. Vishnudev, speaking in that appealing tone, convinced Maharaj Yudhishthira that he was very soon passing away. And Maharaj Yudhishthira was inspired by Lord Krishna to ask him of the principles of religion. Lord Krishna inspired Maharaj Yudhishthira to ask Vishnudev in the presence of many great sages, indicating thereby that the Lord's devotee like Vishnudev, although apparently living in as a even Vyasadeva. Another point is that Vishwadeva is, at the time, was not only lying on the deathbed of Vedas, but was greatly aggrieved because of that state. One should not have asked him any question at that time. But Lord Shri Krishna wanted to prove that his pure devotee are always sound in body and mind by dint of the spiritual enlightenment. And thus, in every circumstance, a devotee of the Lord is in the perfect order to speak of the right way of life. Yudhishthira also preferred to solve this problematic question by asking Vishwadev rather than ask anyone else present there who was seemingly more learned than Vishwadev. This is all due to the arrangement of the great wheeler carrier Lord Shri Krishna, who establishes the glories of his devotees. The father likes to see the son become more famous than himself. The Lord declares very emphatically that worship of his devotee is more valuable than the worship of the Lord himself. Om Ajnana-Timirandasya Jnana-Jnana-Slavaya Sushma-Vidyam-Jnana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Namo-Shasthāvitam Yena Bhutale Sven-Rupadam Yudhadati Sarvatam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Pitapadam Shri Guru Vishnu-Avasya Shri Rupam Sāvijatam Sahara-Raghunatham Vatsajīvam Sātvaitam Sāvadūtam Parijana-Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya-Devam Shri Rama Krishna-Padam Sadhana-Lalita Shri Krishna-Namaskar He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dīnabandhu Jagatapre Gopesha Gopika-Kanta Radha-Kanta Namaste Bhakta-Kanchana Gaurangi Radha-Vrinda-Vrishri Krishna-Namaste Devi Pramani Hare Vancha-Kalpatarubhyasya Vikasindhu Patitanam Pāvanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Vicharine Nirvishesha Shrimbhuvadi Pascharya Shakakarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gauravantam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Sutta Uvacha Yudhishthira Stadakarnya Shayanam Sarvanjare Aprucha Vividhatam Dharman Rishinam Charushrutam. Sutta Goswami said, Maharaj Yudhishthira, after hearing Vishwadeva speak in that appealing tone, asked him in the presence of all great rishis about the essential principles of various religious duties. There's a great principle of the mind at the time of death, which is reposed at the lotus feet of the Lord, must be expressed. If we see the last minutes of Srila Prabhupada, before he passed away, he was constantly preaching, and even the translation of Srimad Bhagavatam was continued by him. We see, because of sound mind and the body. Body may be deteriorating, but it becomes sound in service of Krishna. Service to Lord Shri Krishna in the deathbed is done through the instructions. But at that same time, while giving instruction, person becomes oblivious of his bodily condition, of mind condition. It means he has conquered over the impulses of the body and mind. beyond body and mind is an intellectual result of serving Lord Shri Krishna. Vyavasayatika buddhi eke guru. So, the occupation of the soul is only one. Even during lifetime, then he will be completely what we call absorbed like a Paramahamsa in the thinking with sound body and mind. Always meditating. So, Prabhupada showed that character also. And we see that how spiritual life, when it becomes all pervading throughout the entirety of a being, means in body as well as in mind, intelligence, in the service of Lord Krishna, is not only liberated soul, but also a big Paramahamsa of his eternal occupation that he will be keep on serving even after leaving the body. It's not that Vishnu Pitama did not complete his duties. And at the time of deathbed, we don't want to disturb thinking he's a patient. But a devotee never becomes a patient because he is conquering all his discomforts of the body and mind to be nothing but try to engage in service of Krishna even though it is not congenial. That is the real victory over the mind and the body. When we see that episode of Prabhupada quitting his body, what a transit and serenity pervades. Otherwise, those who are in bodily conception of life, when death arises, they are neither in control of their body or mind. So, how could they think of anything which is not going to liberate and stop his birth and death? An uncontrolled body and mind means both are not liberated, then person repeats his birth and death over and over and over again. Yam yam vam is one. But at the same time, the repetition of birth and death continues. Now, can you imagine what kind of bhava a person would be situated in when he has no control on the mind and the body? What will be his thinking? It will be completely, against his salvation. So, at the time of death, he sees the hellish situation, painful situation, at the time of death. And then, you think he has to go somewhere called the hell? Now he is experiencing hell right at the time of death. And there are symptoms. Even the body becomes so cold because the life air is being withdrawn. It starts from the legs, let's say, and going further up. The legs become so cold, like freezing cold. But the person who is dying, he experiences completely opposite. Because the life is going away, there is burning fire within his body. And then, when he has to leave by any of the 9 gates, because he is not in control. They say the lower gates are the gates to the hell, but if a person passes his life there in a little controlled way, either through the mouth is the best, through the eyes, upper gates, then naturally he will be going towards lower gates. But a devotee, even though his life is there, but he is conscious. He is conscious of his innate position, geared only on Lord Krishna's lotus feet. And remember, it doesn't require much breathing or anything. And at that time, generally, the devotees have their mouth open, wide open, and the air comes and goes and then stops. So he passes through the upper gate, which is very, very auspicious. Now, Vishwamitra was completely in control. He understands even the presence of Lord Krishna. And he sees everyone. But because now Yudhishthira became the king, his duty was still remaining at the deathbed. So Krishna used Yudhishthira to ask the question about what are the duties of the living entity. That is the different categories of the Varnashram Dharma. They have their duties. And even how to rule, because the king must be very familiar with those who are not, or those who are his dependent. And the king is supposed to be caring for not only physical welfare, but also spiritual welfare. Through the prescribed duties of Varnashram Dharma. So Yudhishthira was inspired by Lord Krishna, who is standing by his side. It's the right time. Because we have to increase his desire to speak, because once you ask a question, he will have to respond. It means he will be with us for a little longer time. Use it. And otherwise he was ready. But he did say that when I will quit my body, please stay, Lord Krishna, in front of me, showing your four-handed form. That was what we saw yesterday. He's asking. So, Krishna did not reject his, but he was standing and he was meditating. And as the ruler of the old firmaments, Vasu, he also gives the instructions about the duties of the mankind in different phases of his life. So, Yudhishthira is asking questions, and Vishwamitra would not deny him. Hey, don't bother me now. The game is up. No, it doesn't say that. It is too late, Prabhu. And these are all excuses. never too late. Krishna wants you to preach even until the last breath. A person dies like an example to set him, but he never dies because he reasons ill who think a Vaishnava dies. Ill, as he is not conceiving good that a Vaishnava dies. Because thou art living in the sound. What you have given instructions, they are the permanent sound. So you will keep on living in the sound. And spread Guru is around. So that is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur spoke. Then a Vaishnava will be always remembered through his sound vibrations. Alright? So Vishnudev was not even amazed, but he understood, oh, I am not instructed yet to in this too. He became the king. And he is asking, so I must instruct him. But others were there to instruct. The rishis were there who wrote down all these rules and regulations for all the Varnashram Dharma and the duties. But they were not concerned. Similar is the case for a pure devotee. He is in such an exalted position that because he appeared, the Lord appeared for protection of the devotee. The Lord is right there in front of Vishnudev. Vishnudev will be glorified in this activity of fulfilling the desire by giving instructions. A pure devotee is the leader of the sum total of demigods. Not only one demigod, but sum total. So, devotional service, when Krishna is reciprocating with Vishnu, and Vishnu's duty is that up till now, right from the very beginning, he was guiding blind Dhritarashtra, preventing him as far as possible. But Duryodhana violated his instructions, and therefore he was not even befitted to rule. So blind Dhritarashtra was attached to the position of the king, even though he was disqualified. Dhritarashtra never handed over to his dearmost Duryodhana. But because of Duryodhana, he would not oppose him, even though while he was the king. A blind king cannot oppose his son. So, Vishnudev tolerated that because it will expedite the termination of the Kauravas. If he would have guided, just like he is trying to guide now to Yudhishthira Maharaj, who is righteous, if he would have guided Duryodhana, it would be a waste of time. Duryodhana would not accept it. So we don't see Duryodhana is not being taught about how to rule. But blind Dhritarashtra had at least ears to understand the rules and regulations. So he would keep on instructing. Even Vidurji would also instruct blind Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra liked company of Vidurji. and Vedavyasapriya, they are devotionally situated. They are such characters, they are devotionally situated. And even in different circumstances applicable to them, both were under obligation of Duryodhana. Both were under obligation of Duryodhana. Instead of Dhritarashtra's obligation, Duryodhana would consider, I'm the next heir after winning this war, I'm going to be king anyway. So he was exerting his influence even well before he was victory. There was no victory. So the point is that he is not even a candidate to receive the good instructions of how to rule. He was that kind of disqualified person. Duryodhana was called Suyodhana by his father, blind father. Blind father is understanding because he was not able to witness the misdeeds of Duryodhana. But he can hear, he can understand, everything was there. So, but yet, attachment to this body of Duryodhana was so much with him that he would ignore whatever atrocities he has done. Rather, he would always say, my son will become the king after me. So he is on the wall. I'm just listening what they are doing through Sanjay. But it shows exactly the character of, blind Dhritarashtra. And even though Duryodhana has eyes, but he was blind by the duty powers. And he was very benevolent. Duryodhana was very benevolent to his friends and common people. So he would do some charitable work. And therefore, for the father, the blinded father, it was very benevolent. So he was calling him Suryodhana, not Duryodhana. Suryodhana. It has something to do with the war. Yuddha. He is a Yuddha. Means a warrior. But Duryodhana is one who is going to, forget the rules and regulations of human mind. Right? So, but for father, my son, he cannot be Duryodhana, he should be Suyodhana. So he was calling him Suyodhana. Now, Yudhishthira Maharaj, his situation, Yudhishthira. According to qualification, the name is a very qualitative name. The name of the person is a very qualitative name. Yudhishthira. If he is very confirmed, situated without any deviation in the midst of opposites, Yuddha. In the midst of even the fighting, the practicing of war, he was always very well situated. Yesterday we talked about, Yudhishthira knew that everything that comes to him is by the providence of Lord Krishna, and they should face those circumstances and situations that will be arising for the sake of pleasure. He was so confident that Lord Krishna is a protector. He has been protected so far. So why do we have to give up the faith that he is not protecting That is the reform. So, a devotee is fearless. A devotee is fearless from any conditions. So naturally, Yudhishthira was very fearless. But at the same time, he was induced by Lord Krishna to ask the duties of mankind, of different grades of varna and ashrams. What are the essential principles of religious duties? That was the question. Before we execute any particular action, there must be a spiritual authority behind such merits of the action. And every time, every action must be conducive to the desire of the Lord. Therefore, we must keep on asking, my dear Lord, whether am I doing this correct? In our ordinary life, you can be intrinsically, situated to communicate with this Lord sitting in your heart. Unknowingly, he is also Brahmaya Sarva Bhutani Jatragurani Maya. He is situated in the heart, but according to the effect of the Maya that we are allowing on us, he keeps on move according to as if we are situated on a machine to go round and round and round. Prabhupada calls it merry-go-round. The kids, innocent kids, do not know merry-go-round is a fun, but no adults will sit there. Why? It's boring. The complete change of the mood will be there. Yatra Urani Maya, Brahman is moving from one place to another, round and round, round and round. So, because it's not going one place to another in a linear fashion, but it is round because everything repeats. The yugas repeat. It's also Brahman. The day and night repeats. Up and down, round and round. So the life and the pattern of the life is going round and round. So there are so many, anecdotes about Yudhishthira's character, and because he is the ruler, Krishna uses him. Do you think Yudhishthira was not knowing? It is said, Kasmit Bhagavo Yasmit Vigyatam Sarvamevam Vigyatam Bhagava. If you know one personality of God, Lord Shri Krishna, you will know everything. Then here Krishna is there and Yudhishthira is there. Why he is introducing? Ask him. What is it? And even though the low writers, the Munis and others, they were there, they are also assembled. They were competent enough to answer. But why Yudhishthira was told to approach Krishna and that in the precarious condition to exhibit his mindset at the time of putting it. And he would answer everything very precisely. It's a big chapter. You will see elaborate answers that will start from tomorrow. what he is talking. Lord Sri Krishna, as well as Yudhishthira Maharaj, they were both upholder of the religious principles. And we have to know that, why he is asked again to know from Vishnu Putana. He always knows. They have gone through so many tribulations, and they were also harassed and yet they were stable at that time because Krishna was always helping. Now, these are the codes of religion, the principles setting, and Yudhishthira was, known. He was also educated. But then so there is a difference. After becoming the king has a duty. Even though he knows, he should ask. Because one may be theoretical, but another is experience and realized knowledge. So, Yudhishthira Maharaj is accepting. I don't want to ask, I know it already, he wouldn't say. But in all humility, he said yes. Because he will get realized knowledge. And this knowledge is that Yudhishthira, Vishnu Putana will be telling, was very, very indifferent in quality. Indifferent. How to become indifferent to both and remain steady in your vows. Because that's what he is famous for. And he has also got so many experiences of ups and downs. He has to bear the insults as well as praise. So amongst all the experiences that contains in Rajadharma, that will help Yudhishthira Maharaj, because there will be criticisms also, there will be praises also. How to remain steadfast in between them. This kind of mindset is experienced during contemplative. Then he is sure to go back home to Godhead because he is doing so, experiencing, pain, excruciating pain, yet he is able to tolerate and will do the duty of speaking and flawlessly without showing any effect of pain in his words. What a control over the bodily perceptions. His mind is very strong, fixed. If we see how to fix the mind, unless and until we have a very strong resolve, it cannot be fixed. We may understand theoretically that yes, we have to control mind. So yam and niyam both are required to control the senses and the regulated principles that will control the mind ultimately. So yam and niyam, then asana, then pranayama, then pratyahara, then dharana, jnana, samadhi. This is Ashtanga Yoga. A yogi has to learn accepting all the inconveniences develop and in a fearless condition. Then he can fix his mind. Such things are not possible. Prabhupada says. In Kali Yuga, it's not the desired age for meditation. But how would you still meditate like chanting, the sound vibration of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Remembrance becomes the cardinal principle. Satatam smartavyam vismartavyam na jatuchit. Let there not be any point of forgetfulness of Vishnu, even in the trying circumstances. That is possible by Shravanam Kirtan, Vishnu Smarana. If we do the right way, then we will definitely remember. Right? Most of us take it easy, exercise. Oh, I'm done 16 rounds. Okay, they will be jumping on finishing the round in any place. Even though some disturbance which may go on. And they think, okay, first we will. The third mantra, probably they will be experiencing and they want to get away. There are not disturbances there. But they are enthusiastic to chant even in chaotic situation. But if you have a very disciplined mind, you won't chant better. Find out a place better. And conducive to remember the something. So that is the kind of practice which is required. Ultimately, we will be the beneficiary. We will be the beneficiary. And we have to chant, and we do not appreciate the disturbance around us when we chant. If we become careless and drag on chanting anyway, then we will not be benefited. We will not be benefited. So, meditation on the holy name, even through remembrance, is very important. At the time of death, such meditation and reposing one's attention on the one desired deity of his worship should be there. Reminder, help should be there. Many devotees of our God brothers and disciples, they passed, but they became exemplary to show others the same process of how to keep attention on the Supreme Absolute Truth. And being a Vaishnava, show the Vaishnava behavior at the time of coming. The patient who is about to leave the body greets whoever comes by folded hand and thank. Such a consciousness is naturally keeping the remembrance of Lord Shri Krishna intact. So devotees go and encourage. Nobody cries there. Crying is the worst atmosphere created before the die. So we don't see anybody cries. Even they are present. Even though they may be very sympathetic from the physical condition of Vishnu, but when he responds, on the question, it exposes his mental and spiritual status. That is, it overrides all the pain and discomforts. So that is because of developed Krishna consciousness. We get an understanding that how Krishna was so much, in reputation to describe even material duties, but they are promoting to Krishna consciousness. That is the radical one. And because a king who is a devotee understands that he is the father of all the subjects. He has to take care for their ultimate welfare. That is Krishna consciousness. So, everybody can be benefited through these instructions. And they are instructions for a very successful, process. That Mahavakti Kaunteya Dukkhale Ashashatam Napuvanti Mahatmana Samsiddhi Paramatmata. Samsiddhi is sum total of all the successful endeavors. Is to go back to God by Mahavakti. So whatever varnashram duties we may be doing, varnashram duties are meant for satisfying Vishnu. It's beginning in this particular canto. It is said, Savai Sam Parotha Mudito Bhakti Ahayati Atrati Daya Asu Prasiddhi. We have to worship the transcendental Lord. And transcendence can be only perceived and experienced through the process of pure devotional service. There is no other bhakti. And the person further develops his interactions, spiritual interactions, and the deity worship, spiritual interactions can be achieved. And the same interactions should be behaved amongst the congregations. Notice it. So, a person becomes steadfast in the mind and the resolve. So naturally, there is no danger for him to slip down. These are the stages of elevation. An elevated stage in devotional service is permanent blessing. Is a permanent blessing. So Vishnu, Dhamma and Yudhishthira, both are category, devotees of Lord Shri Krishna. But one who is by his elderly experienced nature through a very controlled mindset, serving Lord Krishna's desire to be in opposition party. Listen, they have tough job, very tough. But if the mind has a resolve, it can sustain. If Vishvakarma has sustained all the insults and discomfort by staying the opposition party, because Krishna wanted it. So Krishna also wants to stay. Learn from him. So, even though devotees are there fighting the devotees, but for Krishna, he will save both the devotees. Krishna is saving Arjuna without killing his body, but Vishvakarma is also saved by Krishna by killing his body. So, understanding that during the time of death, Antakale Mameva Smaran Bhutva Savyatimat Bhavam Jatinat Shroshaya. There is no doubt that if we cultivate resilience of material nature, favorable or disfavorable, praising or insulting, if our mind is set on Lord Shri Krishna's lotus feet and serve Him according to then his position is secured and cannot be deviated even at the time of death. That was the nature of Vishwamitra. So, I would like to stop here. Anybody has any question?
I have two questions, Kumar. First of all, why the four-arm form and not the two-arm form for Krishna? That Vishnu Pitama wanted to see in the end.
Hold on. If I cannot hear it, then I have to use this. Go ahead.
My question is, why did Vishnu Pitama wanted to see Krishna's four-arm form and not the two-arm form?
That we discussed yesterday.
I missed it.
Maybe you were not there. You didn't hear it. What's happening?
Could get 4 classes each.
Vishnu Dhan begs that Krishna, even though he is the original form, but because he was a pursuer and he is returning to his job, so naturally his boss was Vaikuntha, whatever. So he will be back into meditation. Nobody can think of Krishna as two-handed form in Vaikuntha. And that is all in reverence. No other meaning of worship is there. So, thank you Krishna for the original form, but now let me return to my service to you and honor.
Thank you. And sometimes, as devotees go, when they know nobody is going to leave the body, I know one devotee, very senior devotee, left his body, and we all knew that he was very critical. So devotees went to see how he is going to leave his body. I am not sure if he can tell, like whether it's left from his mouth, nose, eyes are very obvious sometimes.
It's simply imagination,
Yeah.
but not, it's a factual thing. Factual situation is a gradual development of the consciousness at the time of death. How do we know? We know only through the examples like Srila Prabhupada, what we are supposed to do, so we can constantly remember the mission. Then the mood is the mindset will be there. We are all soldiers in the army of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to preach the way of the name. But even preaching and interaction with the devotees can be compared to the Rasa Lila. But that is a subject matter which is coming in spontaneously. We are not bereft. This process of Krishna consciousness does not, hinder our progress and going back home and to go back to Krishna Loka in the Rasa. It promotes. So why there is no difference between Chaitanya Lila and Krishna Lila? What is significance of both. If Radha and Krishna, they are two entities, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu united both the bodies and appeared, do you think they are going to be separated in one body? But whenever people were, say, exalted devotees who were accompanying Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed appropriate form. Like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he shows Sharaduji. That he is not different from Ram, he is not different from Krishna, he is a sannyasi, he is not different from any of us. And to Ramananda, he showed Radha and Krishna, two separate forms. In one body. So, if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is exhibiting all the transcendental pastimes with his eternal associates, they are all liberated and they are on the platform at par with Radha Krishna love, Guru Vrindavan. The Sankirtan congregational chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, whether in the temple or on the street, can be compared and interactive actions of the Supreme Lord with his devotees, which is coming out of the Rasali. Who would see the Sankirtan as a Rasali? Those who are not practitioners, they will not be able to understand, because they, even neophytes will not be able to understand, because the maturity of chanting and relishing the association of Lord Krishna. Just like the most common thing that we have been reading, Prabhupada saying that when you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna will dance on your tongue. It's so much unified experience. So one who is imbued in the consciousness of Lord Krishna all the time, they will see him manifesting his Brajalila. But it is perfect. We have our three modes affecting the chanting. Where are we? Then we have to purify. It requires, because instructions are there. They have been given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and written down by Swami and Bhakti-Rasamrita and so many other literature, just to substantiate a gradual progress. Our mind works faster than our activities, right? And that's why we speak out our mind. But we are far behind in action. That we have to admit. We have to also act in congruence with mental progress, not to speak beyond mental speaking. And Brahma shows the way, Sattva Varamni Par Sattvam Vishuddha Sattvam Govindamadi Vishuddha. We have to always remain in moral use, not patient, not interaction. That will be hampering our own progress, even within God represent consciousness. That nature and activity that dampens our spiritual progress, even in one family, becomes disastrous. So we should not encourage that at all. And those who are sincere, they will follow. There is no technical progress in the devotional service. What to speak of entering into the higher strive for it slowly and progressively. Otherwise, we don't want to give up our monkey business. Big monkey, tree jumping, and do some service. No, melancholy. Proper courses, right? So we have to be very, very careful. Yes, we don't need to lash out whatever mind thinks. But intelligent should say whether mind is correct, is chewing on the transcendental subject, or is it just for the sake that it has a flickering beamness? It's not fully enlightened. How it is going to become productive? His example is so much glorious that he withstood all the opposing elements. Even though he was in opposite side, but because he was capable to withstand all different tribulative aspects, that can deviate anybody anytime. Unless an intellectual resolve is there, mind cannot be controlled. Always give preference to the intellectual rather than mental. Right? Any other question?
Thank you very much, Gurumaj. I missed yesterday's class in the morning. That's
Okay,
why.
you can read.
Thank you so much.
It is recorded.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm here.
Hi, Krishna Guru Maharaj. Thank you for the nice class. I think the answer for my question is you already somehow answered, but I want to get a direct answer for my question. That in the class you were mentioning about the last moment of the life, death moment. So that time people are experiencing the hellish environment. So we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, we know all this situation, and from the class we are understanding that, and from Bhagavad Gita we can understand that what should a person need to do at the end of the life. But I'm just thinking that if we are seeing our dear ones around us, they are not knowing this thing, but we understand that they are now experiencing that hellish conditions. How can we help them at that moment?
Two ways. You may take help of somebody who can understand better than us and take their advice before, voluntarily inflame our mind. Yes, you are capable to understand. Always remain humble in mind so you can listen to somebody else better. And then take up the advice. Suppose if you do not understand what I am speaking, but you can ask your husband, I could not understand what Maharaj was saying. I understand probably this way. Is it correct? You can resolve. Go for senior and devotee. And that is called there are higher and higher principles are going to come. And your mind will be
think my question was that if I'm seeing my dear one, that they are now undergoing that situation at the end of their life, but they don't know what to do. In that situation, how can I help them to remove?
And encourage right from the foundation. If they don't have foundation, how are you going to build up progressively? Right? So, we should always remain humble. Did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu give us the opportunity not to be humble at certain times, only on special occasions? No. It's an eternal principle and life molding situation that we have to accept. Forever. We become partial.